Okay guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be quite interesting. Shout out to DM Gaming because he actually published this first on YouTube. It was actually published on Reddit initially and then on a website, and then he kind of made a video about this, which is quite interesting stuff. Now you can check out his YouTube channel as well in the video description. So what this is all about, this is about a leak which happened to be talking about a September release date for Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4. Now this is on Twisted Voxel, okay, and the actual source of this article is a Reddit post which is on a person who has been working or is working at a Gamestop. Now before we go any further, remember, take this with a pinch of salt because we don't know more than this. It's just a leak, so this could be true or it could be false. Okay, so here's the story and it says the following. Budokai Tenkaichi 4 targeting, let me just make this smaller, there we go, targeting a September release date. I work at GameStop and had a Bandai Namco employee in my store today, not as a representative, just shopping around. Came up that he worked at Bandai Namco because he asked about the gachapon machines we used to have, at which I noticed he was wearing a Bamco is a really cool one, Bamco jacket. Mentioned in passing that I was super excited for Tenkaichi 4 and he said he couldn't give the details on the game itself, but that they're targeting a September release for the PlayStation 4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Which is quite sad because I wanted it to be next gen only to have better graphics, but I guess they can make it better for the PS5, just giving it more stuff, hopefully, right? 60 FPS, all that stuff, right? Now, and that they have a new line of action figures releasing alongside the game. For all I know, the figures could just be a new series of Dragon Stars, who knows, was more interested in the info on the game, okay? Now, obviously, I'd take this with a grain of salt, especially with September being just 6 months away, but figured it was worth mentioning in case there's any truth to it. Not sure if this was sound to be flared, no source, due to not being able to back up, or if it's technically grain of salt, so I figured it'd be on the safe side and go with no source. Alright. Edit realized right after I posted that he didn't mention PC, but I feel like that's a safe enough bet from Bandai. Of course, I mean, the game will launch on PC regardless, right? I mean, come on, that's common sense. But of course, like, you know, people are talking about this and this is quite a big one, and even the article talks about effectively the same basic thing, as in, you know, is it gonna happen or not? Now, the Budokai Tenkaichi series, as you can see here, they released games from 2009, 2007, all this stuff. Now the person here who's saying about this, apparently they've been working at Bandai and they had a Bandai Namco jacket, so you could say that this person, you can trust them or they're trustworthy or whatever, but things are not as clear. You have to remember that usually targeted release dates change a lot. I mean, just we have Forspoken, for example. If I remember correctly, Forspoken was delayed for like over a year, I believe. Other games, Hogwarts Legacy, like, was meant to release in 2022 and then it released in 2023, literally like a year later. So the targeted release dates are stuff that a company kind of says to their staff, and many people who work in the Bandai Namco department don't actually know the actual release date of the game. They just have a ballpark figure because many of them work in marketing, many of them work in communications, they work in, I don't know, like management, they work in lots of different areas, not just the actual game development. So they actually don't know 100% when the date is going to be. Now, there was a funny, interesting comment here, or I would say not that funny, but interesting comment here, which is the following here. I think it was down here about the actual previous games, which had some also short dates when they were launched, for example. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, so Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was announced on June, actually no, this was announced in January 19, not June 9th, and released in January 2020, so that was actually more than 6 months, that was a year. But maybe there was a comment here about the Fighters which was actually released also just like 7 months. So there were 7 months between the Dragon Ball Z Fighters reveal and release, so completely plausible. Xenoverse 2 was also a 6 months between announcement and release date. Okay, so yeah. Very interesting. Now this one says here, I think we should also consider that Dragon Ball FighterZ reveal was all real gameplay and Xenoverse borrowed assets from the last game. Since they showed like 10 seconds of Tenkaichi 4 footage, I feel this is going to be a bigger weight. And yeah, exactly. I don't know what to think in regards to the wait. I could see it being later this year with a shorter marketing cycle on early next. The short teaser format feels like a Tekken situation where in the next big gaming event we'll get something to build more hype, which is what I believe regardless of when it comes out. Okay, so yeah, so there's obviously lots of different opinions, and this is quite exciting, guys. I mean, my personal opinion, I don't feel that the game is going to release in September just because it's a bit too early. I mean, this is again just my personal speculation. If it happens and it releases in September, I mean, of course, we're gonna go crazy, guys, because it's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait to get my hands on this game and play it like with you guys online and stuff. It's gonna be great, right? But let's be realistic here for a second, and let's understand that literally the game, all we've seen is a teaser. Now they could be working on this game for like 3 years, 3+ years. For example, usually Bandai Namco, when they have a game in development, they don't just make that one game and that's it. Any game they're making or they're showing right now or they're releasing right now for Dragon Ball, there's another one in the background which is being worked on, which is being effectively, you know, like they're building the assets, they're building the story, they're building the I guess like the graphics and stuff, and they're slowly putting it together. Same happened with Dragon Ball The Breakers. Dragon Ball The Breakers was already in development over 2 years ago, so the game was already in development when Kakarot wasn't even released yet, right? Which is quite interesting because the game was already in the concept mode, already being, you know, they were investing money into the game even before Kakarot actually got a release date, which is quite interesting. So because of that, I do believe that it's a possibility that the developers are actually quite advanced right now. But until we see some proper gameplay, and I believe that the E3 2023 or the summer game show, right, the Summer Game Fest in June, that's going to be quite a crucial month, and we may even get it in the Xbox presentation. So guys, it's going to be a quite busy year for Dragon Ball fans, and I cannot wait, to be honest. And I'm hoping that the game is coming obviously sooner rather than later. But guys, that's it for today's video. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep you up to date with all the information, news, and of course information, leaks, everything about the game. And as always, I shall see you later in the next one.